You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Sunday, November 10th. Boy, oh boy, I am joined by Adam here. Adam, hello. We just witnessed maybe one of the most dramatic 49er wins of this season. Definitely one of the most in recent memory. On a Jake Moody field goal game winner at the very end against the Bucs. 49ers win 23-20. Adam, let's start off talking about special teams, because what a game, right? Like, just so much bad, and to end it the way they did on that game winner, Jake Moody ending it on the game winner after having missed 3 in this game, is absolutely bonkers. Like, it is insane. But I had a sense of calm, because I knew if he was going to get that opportunity, he was going to hit it. That's just been the Jake Moody experience.
Everything that could have happened in that game just happened, right? It was Murphy's Law.
Oh my God.
I mean, when Baker, is getting ragdolled by Bosa and somehow gets the ball off and converts on 4th down, you just go, there's no way the Niners are winning this game. Like, everything, God, the universe, like the football gods, what have you, is working against this team. And so to see them pull it out is insane. How about Juwan Jennings and he having the wherewithal to not go out of bounds and go, hey, our kicker's struggling right now. We can't have him make a 45-plus yard field goal. We got to get him into range. I'm looking at the clock situation. I'm going to have faith in my offense to execute, get the spike off in time. And look at Brock Purdy, man. It's the little things for me as a coach. It's always the little things, right? So it's Juwan getting down there, making that decision in the most crucial part of the game, incredible football instincts. And then Brock settling down the entire offense, spiking the ball down with 3 seconds to go. I don't know about you, Steph, but just based off that kick, the way it went through, just squeaked in there. There's no way he's making that 45 plus. So that's execution at the highest level in the most critical of moments, coming through in a huge way.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this game had everything, and it ended on a good note for the 49ers. I'm not ready to go negative town quite yet, but yeah, Jake Moody with that game-winning field goal at the end, obviously big. And I mean, we saw 49er players fighting on the sideline before that one too, after the previous miss that he had. Deebo Samuel, took a little neck punch to Tabor Pepper, the long snapper. It's just weird. Like, the vibes were just so weird for this game. Again, you look at this Bucs team, they're hurting in all sorts of ways. We already talked about the fact 2 top wide receivers all throughout this week, right? No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. They're coming in hurting. And also coming off that overtime loss to the Chiefs, right? Like, they were going to be battered and bruised both physically and mentally, and we knew it, right? So going into this game, Christian McCaffrey back, I was thinking to myself, man, I mean, this sets up for the 49ers to look like their old selves. And let's talk about Christian McCaffrey for a second, because like I said, I was expecting the offense to kind of get off on a similar foot that they did last season, right? When they had Christian McCaffrey, I thought they'd hit the ground running. It wasn't exactly that for the offense. They were 5 of 11 on 3rd downs. In the red zone, they were 1 of 3, right? So, obviously Christian McCaffrey is not going to be the one player who's going to fix all of the 49ers problems. But I did kind of like how they mixed in Jordan Mason, Also, Isaac Guerrero got a few snaps in this one as well. The final numbers for Christian McCaffrey were 13 carries, 39 yards. So still knocking off some rust, it seems. But definitely there were some good from Christian McCaffrey as well. 6 catches, 68 yards, including that one that Purdy just tossed up there and trusted McCaffrey to get, and sure enough, he did in that crucial moment. Man, what did you think about Christian McCaffrey in this game?
I thought for having your first NFL game, since the Super Bowl, he looked sharp. He looked fresh. He moved well, right? And that's what I'm kind of looking for. Does he still have the same spark, the acceleration? How physical is he, right? Does he look like Christian McCaffrey? And for the most part, he did. For the most, I would say, as the games continue to pile up, hopefully, I definitely think he's going to look even sharper. But it's what you wanted to see. A guy right away making an impact. Maybe not through the ground as much as he wanted to, and just he had a few nice runs, but it didn't seem like the lanes were there a lot of the time too. It seemed like the Bucs were doing a great job of just plugging up those holes, filling the gaps, playing penetration defense on the D line. So overall, we love to see. I mean, shoot, when it mattered most, guess what? He's making a play, right? And none more. The combination there, Brock Purdy. That's really what makes him a quarterback that's going to get paid, right? Is he's going to roll the dice when he needs to. All the great ones do. There's no quarterback out there that's going to play. That's a top 10 quarterback, elite quarterback. That's not going to play, going to risk it a little bit. Right. And to me, that's not risking it either. In certain ways he does, but on that throw, that's a culmination of hundreds of thousands of hours of hard work, hundreds of thousands of reps, trust between quarterback and receiver, in this case, running back being the receiver. All that work behind the scenes culminates to that moment where, in the most clutch of moments where you need a play, the playmakers make plays. Big time players make big time plays. It's a tale as old as time. It's true now. It was true then, and it's always going to be true.
Yeah, there were multiple times in this game where the 49ers playmakers stepped up, like George Kittle. My goodness, oh my God, this guy needs the ball more. And I get it. There's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense, but you have to find ways to get George Kittle the ball, because when he does, he's just incredible. I mean, 3 catches, 57 yards, a touchdown, that one touchdown where Brock Purdy was scrambling. What was it like? Was it 9 seconds or something like that? I remember they put it up. It was a very long time, obviously tough for any defense to defend. Usually, like for the 49ers, sometimes those end up being catches. Sometimes they don't. It's like an incompletion. Sometimes it ends up being like a throwaway, right? But in that moment, you trust your playmaker to make a play there, putting it in that corner of the end zone. George Kittle comes down with it 2 feet down. Just an incredible grab by him. You love to see plays like that. And, let's talk about Brock Purdy, right? Because, I think there were moments in this game where he was a little rusty, maybe. Well, I don't know about rusty, right? Like, this is kind of what we've seen from Purdy throughout this season, just like not sharp, not quite as in rhythm as we're used to seeing him, right? And, like I said, that's been a thing all year. But in the moments where it counted, you talked about the game-winning drive, like sharp, trusting your playmakers, getting the ball out, doing what you need to do. And that's how you find success, right? So it's still confusing for me to kind of, I don't know what to feel about this team, Adam. Like I think I see a lot of good, I see a lot of bad, and it's never quite consistent, right? Like when I see bad, it's a domino effect, and you see a lot of things go bad in a game. And then when things go good, it is also a domino effect where like the momentum shifts and the 49ers suddenly look like themselves for a drive or so. So I still don't know what to think about this team. I still have a lot of questions, right? But they pull it together when they need to sometimes, right? And in this game, they definitely did it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, that's why you pay these guys the money they get paid, right? You see it in the little plays. You see it in George Kittle earlier in the game on that high ball from Brock Purdy over the middle on third down where he tips it to himself and he catches it. No other tight end in the league outside of maybe like Kelsey's doing that, right? It's just those little nuances as a coach. That's where you know empirically that talent is the biggest decider in games overall. You need the horses, right? Like there's just no, like, it's not about, us coaches, we love to say it's not about X's and O's, it's about Jimmy's and Joe's, you know? It's about the guys on the field. You drop whatever the hell you want to draw up, right? You got Pat Mahomes, your quarterback, and he runs around for 30 seconds and then finds whoever down the field. That's not coaching. That's Pat Mahomes, right? So, and let's talk about Brock Purdy. Let's give him his flowers a little bit. Okay, he's not put it this way. If Brock Purdy is full Brock Purdy form at his best today, he probably has over 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Insane. The numbers would be pretty insane, right? And we're kind of looking for that stretch run, at least like a stretch run of where he's just consistently elite every game. I think he's on the doorstep, right? He's right there. It just feels like he's right there. But I'm kind of tired of focusing on what he isn't for the moment. And like, just for all we've been through as 49ers fans this season, all the torture, the Rams game, the Cardinals game, holy smokes, like just so much bad. Let's appreciate in this second half what Brock Purdy did. That fourth quarter was all Brock Purdy. The throw where he extended the play, nobody was open on that play. And he's buying time, makes a perfect throw, rolling to his left as a right-handed quarterback, putting it exactly where his playmaker can get it. It's elite stuff. Let's call it like it is, right? And at the end of the day, that's what separates him from being an average quarterback to just good, right? His arm is good, right? If you take away his legs, he's good. But what puts him in that top 10 category for me is he can create, right? And he can create consistently. He can go outside of structure. And that's so many times in so many ways this season that has saved this team, right? Is he in Mahomes' league? No, nobody is, right? But that was contract year. Right? He hasn't gotten paid yet. Contract year, season on the line, fourth quarter against another playoff team fighting for their life. The Bucs are throwing the kitchen sink at the Niners. They know this is it. This is it. And Brock Purdy rose above all that. So maybe he's not perfect. I absolutely agree. Could be a little bit better, especially in that first half. I said it. I mean, he was the difference. But in the second half, he was the ultimate difference. And that was a career-defining half for me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and Brock Purdy finished 25 of 36, 353 yards, 9.8 average, 2 touchdowns. Not bad. Not a bad day in the office. Like we said, there's some times where he's a little inaccurate, but in this game, he definitely locked in. And to your point, the Bucs were bringing pressure all day. I believe this was their highest blitz rate of the entire season for them. So they were bringing the kitchen sink. And like you said, Brock Purdy still able to make some things happen. Like I said, in that second half as well, it's huge for this team and just willing them back to being enough, right? Being enough. Look, I understand that Jake Moody missed the 3 field goals, right? But I think we'd be talking about Brock Purdy's performance differently even still. Like we'd be praising what he did in the second half even more had those field goals gone in. I know we hate field goals over touchdowns. That gets frustrating, but the 49ers get the win anyway. And what they did ended up being enough. I know we would have probably liked it to be a bigger win than this, but some people in the comments have mentioned a win is a win. Let me ask you this, Adam. So special teams, right? Yeah, we talked about Jake Moody. We talked about the 3 misses. I think one thing we were saying on Twitter as this game was going on, heated emotions, right? Just the heat of the moment kind of reaction. Was that the Jake Moody experiment maybe just needs to be over, right? Does your thought on that change at all with him hitting the game winner?
Not at all. I mean, for kickers, when you look at kickers, it's how they kick, it's the way, even in their makes, even when they make field goals, how do they make them? Are they splitting the uprights or are they squeaking them in? Right? Very simply put, right? Are they kicking with confidence or are they not? And at this point, it's tough, right? You have your John Lynch, you spent a third round draft pick. That is a tough pill to swallow. But shoot, if you can swallow the Trey Lance debacle and you can tuck your tail on that and be done with it, and you can be done with this. I've never felt confident about Jake Moody, unfortunately. I'm sure he's a great guy. And I wish it wasn't the case. I really do, right? I wish we're sitting here talking about what a success he is. But you just can't have that. You can't. And even he almost missed the game winner too. Let's tell it like it is. He just squeaked that thing through the right upright, so on a chip shot field goal, right? So let's not fool ourselves into thinking that he's going to magically turn the corner. He's not an accurate kicker. I don't think he'll ever be an accurate kicker. Now, obviously, he's coming off that injury, so probably fresh off that injury. Who knows if he's rushing himself back? Certainly didn't seem to bother him on the length today. But at the end of the day, like, you just don't have at no point in his career so far have I felt good about Jake Moody going out there, right? So at this point, you got to have a feel. Your job as a GM and a job as a coach is to have a feel. You can talk about all these numbers, all these stats that drive me absolutely insane. People take those things way too far, but you have to. The eyeball test is king in football. Any great coach will tell you that. And the eyeball test right now for me on Jake Moody is he's not kicking with confidence. He's not accurate enough. And most likely, if this team does go on a run, it's going to come down to the special teams. It's going to come down to a guy making a kick. And he's just not that guy right now.
Yeah. And he kind of hasn't been ever, like, to this point, right? So I'm on the same boat. I mean, him hitting the game winner, like I said, kind of predictable, just giving the Jake Moody experience, but I don't think it absolves anything else that it just doesn't feel right. And a lot of his kicks look about the same, right? Where they just barely make it through, like you said. So that doesn't give me a lot of confidence. Like you said, it doesn't seem like he has a lot of confidence either. And I don't think the injury was that big of a factor because, like you said, there's length in the kicks, so he could still kick it far. He has no problem with that. It's just been the same issue with him, the accuracy, and that continues to be an issue. When you see that the 49ers could bring in two kickers and from the street, basically off the couch, and they cannot miss. They didn't miss any of their field goals. I think
they looked good.
And it looked good. Anders Carlson was the only one that missed, I think, one extra point. But aside from that, they made all of their kicks. So when you look at that, I mean, I think that helps put it into perspective. What we're seeing from Jake Moody is not exactly normal. I know a lot of people having a hard time with, I think, just the fact that he was a third-round pick, so you can't move on from him and all this stuff. But it's like any other kicker, had it been like a 6th round, 7th round UDFA kicker that was making these mistakes, would have been cut by now. But let's just call it how it is. So we'll see what the 49ers do. Be honest, I don't think they have the balls to make any sudden movements with the kicker situation
for his career
in
there.
season. Yeah, I don't think they'll do anything in season. And on that same note, Adam, when it comes to special teams and their ongoing debacles, they also had another muffed punt in this game. Darrell Luter Jr. gets pushed into Jacob Cowing on a punt return. Bucs recover the ball, and that was kind of what started the Bucs getting into this game, as they had an easy path to a touchdown there after that. So special teams continues to be an issue, not just Jake Moody, but just the entire unit. And so I still want the 49ers to make a change there with special teams coach Brian Schneider, right? But again, I don't see that happening just because I just don't think they would do that in season, especially in a win, right? Like you certainly can't do it after a win. I think it's clear to all of us how this is not cool, what's happening with special teams, but they're going to keep skating by and shrugging it off until it means losing more games, I guess. But probably not till the end of the season would we see any moves. But do you feel the same way about special teams coordinator and them needing to make a change there?
I have so much feelings when it comes to special teams. If you coach at the high school or college level, you're involved in special teams, even if you're not the coordinator. You have a job on special teams. You're coaching something or multiple somethings on special teams. And for our philosophy as coaches, right, when I coached at Laney, is simplicity and effectiveness, execution. You have to pride yourself on being buttoned up, so to speak, on special teams. Because at our level, if you have the best special teams, you are going to win more games than you're going to lose just based on that. It's easy in the NFL to take it for granted because we see, the long snappers are world class. The kickers are world class. The punters are world class. The operation, so to speak, snap to kick operation is world class. And they make it look easy, but I promise you it is not, right? And they that's all they work on. So it literally looks militaristic when they execute. I agree with you, special teams coach. Firing the special teams coach does absolutely zero. I can promise you it doesn't do anything. I think it only kind of provides chaos to an already chaotic special teams room. And it's not like a new coach is going to come in and, implement some new groundbreaking scheme. He's not going to implement some groundbreaking tackling or avoid drill during the week that's going to automatically juice special teams, right? The best thing you can do is understand who your personnel are and evaluate accordingly. Because oftentimes, the quality of player, the average quality of player on special teams is what kind of accumulates to the struggles on special teams. So let's real quick break it down by unit. Okay, field goal. Jake Moody, either cut him or keep him, right? If you keep him, you got to live with the misses because it's just going to happen, right? You make your bed and it is what it is. Not much you can do there, right? Except bring somebody else in. Field goal block, that's probably been the best unit of them all, arguably, right? They got a block earlier this year, almost got another block today. Okay, so we're good there. Punt, let's simplify things, man. When when we don't have to force a return, right? Let's not set up a return. How about let's not do that? Between the 40s, so to speak, I'm not setting up a return. Send your guy back there, wave his hand in the air, catch the damn ball. We're on offense, we're rolling. Right? So simplify things. When things are chaotic, you want to keep it really simple, work on the simple stuff, make sure you're great at the simple stuff and go from there, build on that. And that goes for both units, right? And then kickoff, obviously kick the dang ball out of the end zone. When you don't have the personnel or the horses, keep it that simple. So again, my whole overarching theme here is when you're struggling on special teams, work on the simple stuff, simplify your game plan, and then go from there.
Yeah, there definitely should be some changes, but we're in week 10 after the bye week, so I don't think that's gonna happen. Just I continue to think that the 49ers will just ride it out with who they have on special teams, right or wrong. That's just what I think is going to happen with this team. Now, from the beat writers, I'm seeing here on Twitter, I guess for a long time, the 49ers locker room was closed still after the game. As of 2:21, the locker room was still closed, according to Cam Inman, one of the 49ers beat writers. So I have to imagine the team had quite a long talk after that one for a variety of different reasons I can think
Hopefully
of.
they're chewing out Debo.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know. That was definitely unique. I mean, Debo definitely wears his heart on his sleeve. Emotional player on the field. We love that about him. But yeah, I mean, going after your teammate, even with the misses that Jake Moody had. That. I mean, yeah, I don't love that, but
inexcusable.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm sure Kyle Shanahan will be asked about it. And it seems like he's at the podium now, so I'm sure I'll keep tabs on that. But we're getting some injury updates as well. Renardo Green, who I thought was having a great game, Adam, he hurt his toe, and so that's why he exited. I think there were some questions about why Rocky Sin came in and took over in this game, despite Green looking great. And so that explains it. Toe injury. Let's talk about Renardo Green, though, for a second, because definitely, I don't want to say silver lining because the 49ers did win, but even in what wasn't the prettiest game, even on defense, right? I thought Renardo Green played a great game. You didn't have Mooney Ward in this one, so the starting corners were Lenore, Green, Isaac Yadam. And Renardo Green had like 3 plays alone that I thought were huge in this game. First, it was like the potential Bucky Irving touchdown. Great open field tackle there. Like that's just textbook tackle, bring that guy down. And that's tough because you're one-on-one going up against an elusive running back, like I said, in the open field. So that was a really great play from him. And then also there was that like incompletion by the Bucs wide receiver Jarrett that I think Bernardo Green helped jar that one loose. So that was huge. And then there was the pass breakup in the end zone late in the game on the throw to Miller, one of the other Bucs wide receivers. So Green, when he was out there and he got the ball thrown to him in some key spots, like he was huge. I just love to continue to see the growth of these 49ers rookies, and Renardo Green, definitely one of the highlights in this one.
Yeah, this draft class continues to impress. We talk about, Jake Moody being a 3rd round bust, right? But let's give Lynch and Coase flowers when it comes to this class. This class has been incredible. This has been arguably one of his best draft classes yet, right? I don't know if there's that star guy like, a Fred Warner or a George Kittle, not quite the star, but overall productivity from top to bottom, right? Outside of like Bethune, right? And Kingston. And so, getting that kind of value out of a rookie is special. It tells me he has incredible mental toughness. He has the it factor, so to speak, the dog in him to play at this level. If he can just step in and immediately make an impact, this guy at the very least has it mentally, right? And it's, again, what you see on the field. If one thing I could tell people, what you see on the field, believe it. Whatever you see on the field, believe it, right? Because you don't rehearse in practice for, again, thousands of hours all year long. And then there's mysteries on game day. There's absolutely no mysteries. Whatever happens, they are who they are. And what is Renardo Green? He is an absolute stud, right? Yeah. I don't think he's, an elite corner by any means, maybe not yet. But for him to step in a role when you don't have your top dog corner on the field and you come in and you play great football, competitive football, you fight, give up nothing easy, playing the position, alignment, assignment, adjustment, you're nailing it across the board. You can't be happy. I mean, I couldn't be happier with his play so far.
And not to shift back to the offense, but I mean, we got to talk about another rookie, Ricky Pearsall, who got his first touchdown today, a 46-yard catch and run. And I thought it was an impressive one, right? It was a good throw by Purdy, and also just shows the agility of Pearsall, that which we've seen a couple times on display so far in a short amount of time, getting extended snaps, right? So I love to see the growth of him as well, because it does feel like Ricky Pearsall has gotten better with each and every game that he's played. And according to Next Gen Stats, that one had a 19.1% chance of scoring on that touchdown. He gained 31 yards after the catch. There's 13 over expected, and he reached a top speed of 19.47 miles an hour. So again, showing some of that speed off. And yeah, I mean, it looks like he has no issues getting open at him. Like even early in the game, I remember there was another play where, Tom Brady's like, oh, he had Ricky Pearsall like wide open there. It ended up being an incompletion, but then they show the replay, and yeah, like Pearsall getting open. You love to see that, right? So yeah, I think that's just another example of another pick. That was the one we were all kind of waiting on to kind of solidify that this was a great draft by the 49ers.
Yeah, I think anybody who knows who's coached football will look at Ricky Pearsall's tape and come away with the thought of, okay, this kid can play. Like, this kid is a football player. He has, again, it's the same kind of echelon mentality like Renardo Green. There's certain guys, just by the way they move, the way they walk, the way they catch the ball, their mannerisms, like that you've seen over and over again as a coach, that you go, oh, this guy can play. And he has it, right? What does he have? He has, again, he's reliable hands. That's the best thing that we could have seen so far, is the guy can catch the ball, right? How many guys can move like Odell Beckham Jr. in his prime, but they can't catch the ball. They can't reliably catch the ball. Ricky looked like he was one of Brock's like comfort targets, right? His almost like a tight end today, right? And for him to step in with the minimal amount of practice time he's had and become a factor right away tells you the guy can play, and it's only going to get better. And I think the one thing this offense needs is guys who can run routes and shake free. Because as good as Jawan, as good as George is, it's not about the route running for those guys. It's about the size, the body control ability to go up and get the ball that really separates them. So to have that kind of balance there, to really keep teams honest, so to speak. I was really excited on draft night. I remember it like it was yesterday when they announced the pick. I was with my roommate and I almost did a backflip. I didn't know if it was like the absolute perfect pick at the time, but I love to be surprised, right? And I love the guy's tape, just could see this dude being an absolute stud. And lo and behold, here it is. It's almost like, correct me if I'm wrong here, Steph, but it just doesn't seem shocking. Like we knew Ricky had this in him to be this kind of player.
Yeah, you're right. And that's why like we were so anxious to see it finally. And yeah, the early returns on him have been awesome. And you see Shanahan, as he's speaking with the media, has some praise for Ricky today, calling him awesome. And to go back to the scuffle, right? Shanahan was asked about that. He says, quote, probably an obvious one. Guys frustrated, brothers scuffle a little bit. If it hasn't been fixed already, we'll fix it on the plane and go back to loving each other tomorrow. That's pretty funny. And then also, I'm assuming he was asked about Jake Moody. He says, quote, you're only as good as your last kick. That seems to tell me he's not feeling too bad about Jake Moody, because Moody's last kick was the game winner and it went through. So that's why I say they're just going to sweep the issues with Moody under the rug. And it's going to be a roller coaster. I think it'll continue with this team. But yeah, I mean, look, there were moments where the whole team was ready to lose this game and was contributing to the loss. But at the end of it, it became a team win, right? And it wasn't the sexiest win, but as we say here, a win is a win. And the 49ers have that to improve to 5-4. Next week, they draw the Seahawks, which could be a soft landing zone for them too, to get some more momentum going, hopefully, against a division opponent, of course. So that's going to be another big game, of course. Every following big game for the 49ers is going to loom large to their season. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. And there'll be plenty to talk about this week about what to even think about this team. But for now, we're going to enjoy this win. So, Adam, thank you for joining me for this post game. Love the conversation. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. But for now, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Peace.